So one notable information was that nations are divided up into little packets, little groupings. One's favored nations are green, one's neutral nations are yellow, one's red nations like like China and Russia, communist nations, hostile nations like some others. But they're split up into categories, and those categories, if related to trade, would say that if you're in the good box, you're going to have zero tariffs or very low tariffs. You're in the middle box, and etc. Now, this is all directly related to the value of our dollar, and using the dollar on a global scale as a trading dollar, which they've done. They've used the dollar repeatedly by these countries as kind of like a way to say, okay, this is worth this many American dollars. This is worth this many of our dollars, and so it kind of is the basis for the dollar itself. So it's a three-way thing. Is one was tariffs, favored nations militarily and otherwise, and then and trade, and then keeping the dollar strong but not so strong that our stuff is not worth as much as their stuff. So it's that they would use tariffs to kind of like say, okay, you're going to have to pay your people more, make your dollar more valuable, and that is one of the keys here, is making their dollar more valuable so that we can use our dollar to buy their stuff, and they can use our dollar to buy their stuff, our stuff. Sorry. Now, there's a little bit more to that. I'll talk about that in a second. So I was talking about the value of the dollar, their dollar and our dollar. So there are some countries that are trying to use their dollar as the basis for trade. South America has Brazil and some other dollars that are basically striving to be the dollar of trade instead of the U.S. dollar, since we're now considered unreliable business partners. It's like having a partnership with another company and then they become weird and unreliable, so then you find another company. And so it's the same with the dollar. We were unreliable trading partners from their point of view, and so why use our dollar as a basis for trade between countries? So there's a country, I think it's Brazil, that's trying to get their dollar to be the dollar of trade, and that works against Trump's plan. That is a risk, and it runs against his plan considerably. So that's the problem with the dollar. So then we find another problem. So the other problem is that these people can tell the United States to go to hell. Now, Trump is relying, or his advisors are relying, that they're not going to do that because our market's so big. But if you ruin our economy, that's really kind of advantageous for them. But if they do tell us to go to hell, they can do the rest of the world. If China were to trade with the rest of the world and make inroads against the United States as the primary country, they could, in fact, just ignore our trade. It's very unlikely, but it is a possible problem. Now you see that Canada's response to this was to jump and run to the EU for trade. Now they need other business partners besides the United States, but it lowers the power of these tariffs. It lowers the power of our market, and that's one thing, and that's one problem that is remarkable. It is one way around this, and really Canada is doing that. They went to someone else. Mexico's trying to not go to somebody else, but if they do, then it lowers the power of the United States to negotiate this.